Why do people care about what they care about? Just let that, put it in the coffee, stir it around, let the ice take over, whatever.
I may have coffee this afternoon. I may go for a second cup.
Cheers.
I don't understand iced
Dan
coffee.
never goes for a second cup
totally
at my house.
Right. Exactly.
About 4 people
Folgers,
got that joke.
Sanka.
Anyway.
So funny.
I don't want to go on this ride. I don't want to go on this ride.
Which ride, Mark?
The ride where every single time the Warriors play, we take that one game and go, that's who they are. So now we've got our dauber down, as Ron Fairley used to say on Giants games 1,000 years ago. Our dauber's down because the Giants, the Warriors are no longer a championship contender because they had their measuring stick game and they lost it. So that's the end of that until they win tomorrow night and we come back in and go, we gonna be championship.
Over Washington.
Right. We did it over the weekend. All they did was beat Charlotte when Charlotte scored 29 points in the first half. Gosh, as you know, we all went to the game. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell what are we looking at here?
It was like a JV game.
42-29, I think, at halftime. Right. We're all looking at each other. We're going, are they going to play 5 quarters? This isn't enough points. We'd like to be entertained. What is this? People were throwing the ball all over the damn court.
Right.
It was wild. Very strange. But anyway, you come out of that, and the Warriors are 3 games above 500, and everyone's like, I think something special is starting. Then the champs come to town, squash you a little bit last night. Okay. And now the Warriors stink and Dunleavy is an idiot for not getting a tall person. I'm just saying, there's 2 ways to do this ride. Y'all can either do this night by night, or you can take every night and turn it into every night. In other words, you can take every game and project it to April if you want, or you can stay in the damn moment. 10 out of 12 simply became 10 out of 13. It's okay. It's okay.
You can do both, though.
I'm not saying we can't talk about the game.
Right.
And we can criticize this game, or we can look at certain things and all of that. But that did not break my stride. If I'm the Warriors, last night did not break my stride, not one bit.
Yeah, it didn't break my stride, but it definitely showed me where they sit on the pecking order, and that is not elite. So if you think that they are going to be able to, in 7 weeks' time, go up against a team like that, or even that team, and beat them 4 times in 7 games, well, that would be a shocking upset to me, because Denver showed me last night that they are at least 1 notch, if not 2 notches better than the Warriors. And it's okay. The Warriors have had a great run, 4 titles. I don't think that this team is a title contender. And, you beat the bad teams, and I expect them tomorrow to beat Washington, a bad team. And when you play the bad teams, you win. When you play the good teams, you win sometimes. But you aren't as good as that team last night.
No.
And they showed it. The defending champions came in, and for... about 30 of the 48 minutes, they were decisively better than you.
Yeah. They're the defending champs. They're decisively better than everybody right now. I know that their record doesn't necessarily suggest that. Right. They're right in line. They're a game and a half behind the Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. But they've been down the road before, so there's also, I haven't even looked at the odds. I would almost guarantee that Denver's odds are better than Minnesota's and Oklahoma City's, because they've done it, and they've been there, and those other teams haven't. And maybe you like the Clippers or what have you. I think that the Denver Nuggets are the Western Conference favorite for a reason. That's the best team.
Yep. They are the favorites, plus 440 to win the NBA title.
That wasn't news at 7 o'clock last night. Wait, I think the Nuggets are better than the Warriors. I knew that at 3 o'clock.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
But at 4:45 or 5 o'clock...
I know.
But okay.
But even if
Warriors.
But if they had won, and that's what I mean, like if they had won, what would you say today?
You would say they can exchange punches, they can swap paint with the best in the association, and they can come out on top.
I don't know if I feel any different. Like, they've played 4 times. Why are we not
against Denver?
Yeah.
And they're
0-4.
Right.
But you also know the story of those games. You know that one of them was a half-court shot at the buzzer, a heave.
Yep.
I mean, the Warriors...
Off a blown lead.
Yeah, no doubt. Listen, they've got problems holding on to 4 quarters. I totally get it. But I at no point do I watch the Warriors play the Nuggets and feel like the Warriors are overwhelmed.
No.
Like, don't belong on the floor with them.
Of course not.
When Charlotte plays and the Warriors play awful and still win by double digits.
Right.
I mean, by the way, that was the underbelly of that whole scuffle at the end. Has anybody brought up that the spread was 12.5?
No. It was 12.5.
The spread was 12.5.
And he missed.
But they called goaltending.
Oh, they did.
And they won by 13. I'm like, did anybody talk about that? Grandy, did anyone talk about that after the game? Anyone discuss that?
I brought it up post-game.
12.5 was the spread. Like, Sean McVay somewhere was like, I love the end of that game. That was amazing. I want Quinones as my kicker next year. That's what I was thinking about. Not everybody's feelings. Spread was 12.5 in that basketball game. But anyway.
I wonder how many of these players actually know what the spread is.
Well.
And it's impossible to know unless you have an off-air private conversation.
I mean, even if you're looking at it an hour before tip, like it moves. But I get plenty of people bet that game at 12.5.
I'm sure.
I was imagining sports books, and I'm just like, oh, on a Friday night in Las Vegas, 2 weeks removed from the Super Bowl, probably got a good cheap room, came out there, and you either put your whole life savings on the Warriors or you thought, you know what, second night of a back-to-back, 12.5, that's a little hot. Oh, and you're feeling good. You're feeling good with your 11-point spread as the Warriors appeared to be running the clock out and just dribbling the ball. But then young Lester, he's like, you know what I want? I think I want 2 more points. And then a scuffle breaks out. And then Charlotte had a good solid 7 seconds to go shoot if they wanted to.
Right.
They dribbled it out. And I was like, man, people are throwing things in sportsbooks
after the skirmish, they had to dribble it out. And the only reason why he shot was because there was a shot clock situation. And Draymond said it perfectly. And I know we're going to play the sound.
We'll get into that a little bit. Yeah.
Just the whole idea of another turnover. They had 22 already. Shoot the ball. Don't be so in your feelings.
Well, okay. So may we start with my two-pronged, why do people care about what they care about? I got 2 of them today, and you're touching on one of them, okay? Whether it's the shot clock or whether you want to pad your stats or whatever. Why do you care? Why is it so offensive to win by 13 instead of 11? If you fire a 3 or if you dunk with your tongue out, I understand. Now you're like purposefully rubbing my face in it. But if you're Lester Quinones and you end up with the ball like on the block and you're like, well, he just sort of like, well, just flip it up, like whatever, clock's running down. Why is that so offensive?
Right.
Why does it bother everybody so much? Why is Bridges starting to fight Grant Williams? Here comes the tough guy act that he's been habitually throwing at. Why? I don't understand. In fact, and extend this well beyond Warriors and Hornets. Go to any college football game where, like, Alabama plays the Citadel, and then people are shocked when the final score is 70-3. Why is Nick Saban out there still running plays? Well, because there's time on the clock. Why are you so offended by this? I don't understand it. I even get into these conversations. You and I have done it. We did a whole show about the youth sports thing.
Youth is different.
It's different.
It's totally different.
It's totally different, but also totally, in my opinion, too sensitive. Like, everybody's allowed to play. There's time on the clock.
Right.
You play, and then you go home.
Different in youth sports.
It is different. It's different.
And
but
I was looking at some of the high school games from the North Coast section tournament, and there was a girls' game where a team won 78-7. And I mean, do we need to win by 71? Could we have won by 50 and maybe made it so that in youth sports make it a little bit more of an enjoyable learning experience on all sides? This is not the NBA.
I think that is the learning experience. Like, I honestly do. Like,
you stink, and so you deserve to lose by 71.
Let me ask you this: How would you go about it? Like, let's do the youth sports thing for just a moment. What would you ask the winning team to do? Do you want them to pull a player off?
No.
Do you want them to stop trying? Do you want them to do the whole, like, we got to pass the ball 12 times before?
There's that.
Like, what would you do?
And also encouraging them to allow their less skilled players to try to score.
Okay.
And, defensively, you go ahead and you play back inside your own 3-point arc. Mm-hmm. And if you get a steal, you don't fast break. You just wait for the other team to get back.
You mentioned the idea of lessons being taught. The team that's losing, what is the lesson they learn from doing what you're suggesting?
They don't learn any lesson other than kindness and compassion.
Okay.
That's a lesson.
Okay.
And I think that they learn more about, the human experience than they do by having a team press and completely dominate them.
No, not press. I mean, that was actually, to me, what Draymond's best point was about Friday night. He's like, you guys were pressing.
Right. This is pro sports.
You're pressing. I understand. We're going back and forth here.
Yeah, we're conflating the two different levels.
You're pressing with a minute to go. You're pressing with a minute to go, and then with 22 seconds, you're offended.
Ridiculous.
That is, to me, that was the mic drop point of the whole experience.
To me, the whole thing is pro sports. You get what you get.
Yeah.
And, college sports, we can get into a discussion about, amateurism versus is it really a gateway to the pros, and how should you act in that level? I'm open to interpretation at the high level NCAA mark. If you're beating a team by 50, if you want to go out there and pour it on, it's college sports. You're adults, really. You're over 18. High school, youth, CYO, the rest of it, that's totally different for me.
Yeah, no, I would agree that it's completely different. But for me, it is the sliding scale over what it is we should do. Because I don't think that the losing team learns a damn thing when the other team almost patronizes them. Like, okay,
well, there's a way to do it.
Come on over
class.
here,
and I've been on the receiving end. I've told the story of the team I coached that was 0-26.
Yep.
And every single game we played was that game.
Yep.
58-7, 63-6, and all the rest of it. And there were teams who did it the right way, and there were teams that did it the wrong way. And the team that's on the losing end, you know you're going to lose.
Sure.
When you're
before it starts,
or even in halftime, and you're down 54-8. I mean, and you got to go out there and play 2 more quarters, and there's a way to handle it with class.
I understand this
without patronizing,
right? But you're asking for kids to quote unquote do it with class
and
behave the right way. Sure. I understand that. There's a way to coach it.
Sure.
But I have a very, very firm opinion about when the game is being played, you play the game.
Right.
I'm not asking anyone to go half speed or play with fewer players, or especially if they're kids.
Yeah.
Come on, go have a good time. You worked hard to be here. Let's go. Play the game.
Part of having a good time, though, is, the competitive spirit of playing against other kids and, not completely clowning another team based on
that's
your
what I'm
dominance.
Talking about. That's why, if Lester had shot a 3, if Lester had dunked the ball and looked at everybody,
right,
that's totally different.
It was Jordan Bell who I think famously threw it off glass to himself, and he got chewed out by Steve Kerr and company.
That was amazing.